There's chatter in Slack about canceling since there's a bunch of um, open source summit. Is there anything anyone wants to talk about while we are here?
Yeah, I was considering bringing up some stuff around WASM.
Are the people in the room able to help with what you're looking for, or I mean, go for it.
Sure, I can give it a go. So today we have a lot of stuff going on around getting WASM into the container runtime stack. Some of that, like we have Project Run WASI, that is basically containerd shim that executes WASM from container images. And right now, basically what we do is we look at the configured entry point and assume that that's a WASM module and compile it and execute it, and passing whatever args or whatever were given to it. This has a lot of things that are not ideal. Mainly, well, not even just mainly, there's several really big things. One is that these images ideally would be platform agnostic. However, because of the way things need to execute and like how you can run something on Windows, like it needs a specific file system layout. And on Linux, might need things like CA certificates and all this kind of stuff. So we basically have this module that is platform agnostic, but the tooling around it is to be able to execute it is not. So we're kind of in a situation where we need to have platform specific images for platform agnostic executables. And we would definitely like to be able to change that. And with that, also be able to do things a little more efficiently than what you would normally do in a traditional image, where we know. So with WASM, you're going to have a module or multiple modules. And what we've been discussing, and I don't have anything written down at the moment, but I wanted to get a feel for everything, was basically we want to be able to just list the modules as digests that the runtime can just go fetch and pass off to the runtime to deal with. So you can imagine something like a change to the image spec that so it could have layers like it has now, but then a new field. I don't know if it would just be for WASM or if there'd be some other use case, but something like modules field that has all the, similar to the way the rootfs layers are set up in the image config, but for modules it's just, okay, well, here's all the modules that we need to fetch, and we need to pass these down at runtime to the actual WASM runtime to handle and like assemble the rootfs as needed for the platform and all that kind of stuff. So kind of just wanted to get people's take on that, and if it makes sense to work on a proposal for updating the spec to support that, or potentially other ideas.
I had pulled up some history and image spec, and it looks like the OS field, there was like a special text in here. Here, I'll just send what I'm looking at right now, about the OS field being special cased for WASI. Is this related or no?
I would say sort of, in the sense that you would choose the behavior based on what the OS is. So if it's WASI, then okay, let's look at what modules are in the spec and do what's needed for that. Whereas if it was Linux, like it probably doesn't even make sense to have that extra field. So it would just kind of be ignored or validated that it is not populated or whatever.
So on the same level of OS and architecture a modules array?
I would say around the same level as rootfs. So there's a rootfs field, something similar to that, where it's just, yeah, just an array of descriptors for WASM modules.
So you mean inside the config blob?
Yep. Oh yeah, so yeah, this is the index. Yeah, not for the index. Would be
Yeah, not in
specifically
the platform object, which is for choosing which index or which manifest to run, but in the image config as additional details for how to run.
Yes, exactly. And then in that case, like if we are able to do this, then we can just have a WASI image that is just WASI. It can run anywhere. Versus today, you kind of need to do some funky things at runtime, like infer certain things about the spec and do different things based on platform, or push different platform specific images with your WASM in it, so that the file system layouts are correct and has whatever Linuxisms or whatever are needed.
So if a particular image requires a particular module and your runtime doesn't support that or can't fetch it or can't install it, enable it, whatever, for some reason, what happens?
Yeah. So in terms of like an old runtime being able to, so today, so that would, you would have a spec that says, oh, this is WASI, and you can either support WASI or not support WASI. And of course, today everything is still moving, and whatever we do, like it's going to break some prior implementation. But it's all kind of proof of concept at the moment. So yeah, basically it would just be, you can't run, if you can't run WASI, then don't try to run in a WASI image. I think.
Right. Because it's all still very preliminary.
Yeah.
My off the cuff gut take would be that you should try it out and see how well it works. And then we look at standardizing it.
Mhm.
Especially because unknown fields are defined by the spec as should be ignored, essentially. So
Yep.
or you could try something like an annotation to just get, basically, I'm trying to help navigate into, we have proof that this works and is stable and does solve the problem mostly comprehensively,
Mhm.
so that we don't have a lot of spec churn while we try to figure out the solution to the problem.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense.
Especially because WASI is such a large moving target. I think we've
Yeah.
already had some amount of spec churn on WASI's behalf so far, which has been small, but I'd like to prevent it from snowballing into larger and larger things where the WASI community is blocked on us making decisions from a spec perspective on things that might change tomorrow as the WASI community evolves and matures.
Cool. That makes sense. Yeah.
So I guess that's the long way of saying I don't see a reason to be opposed to what you're proposing. Just that I think it would probably be good to have more implementation proof that it is sufficient.
Excellent. Sounds good.
Take my official hat off and stop pretending I know what I'm talking about.
We all know you do, Tianan. You have not been able to hide from that for 10 years. That's all I had on it. So yeah, somebody else had something.
All right. Shall we call it unless there's anything else? I'm going to take that as I'm out eating lunch and have left my computer, or let's do it. So I will see you all next week.
See you guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, man.